Welcome, fans, to episode 89 of Rangers Ed. This is your host, Cousin Ed, and I've been waiting for this episode for a while.
For
Here with my,
88 episodes.
here with my co-host, Little Ed, and Coach Ed. What's up, boys?
What's up,
How we
fellas?
doing? I
And
feel
our
like it's been a
produ-
while since we've been on the mic.
Yeah, and
so
our
we've got a
producer,
lot to
Mikey.
cover.
What's up, Mikey?
What's going on? What's up, boys? Glad to be back on. It does feel like a long while.
Mikey's been busy with Little Ed. We got a new platform today to debut. It looks great. I love the logos and everything. You guys put a lot of work in. It looks awesome.
Head over to YouTube to check it out. We got a nice little overlay courtesy of StreamYard. One of the things we learned over at Hockey Night in New York, right, Mikey?
Yes, sir. A lot of things we learned there. This is one of them.
Yeah, so shout out to them. That's it looks great, and I'm excited about this new platform here. Took a while to get Coach set up. That's so we're a little late on the recording, but we're recording this January 18th. So Rangers play tomorrow night? You guys or I guess tonight if you're listening on Thursday. But yeah, so let's just start off. I mean, before we get into anything, Ed, tell us, talk a little bit about the Dallas game. I saw the reel you did put together there but that special game, dude.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't have asked for a better game to be at. I mean, shout out to my friend Chris Szilard, or Dr. Chris Szilard. He's my dentist and also one of my good friends best friends from college, and ex-teammates, I guess you could say, on the team. And yeah, I mean, it was just incredible. I mean, talk about a first-class organization or a first-class arena, whatever you want to call it. But we got access to the Delta Club. I was 2 rows off the ice in the corner. Just as Shesterkin's left when he was there for 2 periods, the first and the third. So I was able to see the overtime game-winning goal. It was pretty much 20 feet in front of me. It was just incredible watching Fox make that move right there. But I got to say the real highlight was all the free food. I mean, it was just – it was unbelievable. I had sushi. I had what's it called? The pot roast sliders. I had a cheeseburger. I had what else? Chicken fingers and fries. They had ice cream. They had a whole Halloween candy bar that you could just take random little pieces of candy out. I filled my bag on the way out for the train ride home. I also got Coach Ed one of the daily burgers on my way out.
Yeah, I got a little goodie bag on the train.
Yeah, and then all of the food stands, after the second period, they bring everything inside, and then they bring out every food stand becomes a dessert stand, and they probably had I'd say 15 different desserts.
Wow.
Everything for free. Bucket or boxes of popcorn everywhere, just on the tables, the ones that they sell probably for $15 upstairs. A whole tree of cotton candy, the big bushes of cotton candy, wrap, so you can just take one of those. It was almost too much. It was just unbelievable. Shout out to my friend Bear, who had 3 cheeseburgers before the 16-minute mark of the first period. He wrote James Dolan a letter saying that one of his employees overserved him before the game even started.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
No, he didn't actually write that, but it was funny. So yeah, I mean, shout out again. Thanks, Chris Silly, for bringing me to that game. I mean, let's talk about the game now, right? Or we got to do jersey numbers first?
Yeah, before we get into all the games, let's go into the jersey numbers sponsored by Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey.
Our buddy Oscar, a huge Rangers fan himself, started his company by stitching his own blue shirts. Once he perfected his craft and started to fall in love with his work, the man started to grow. Oscar stitches every jersey with love and dedication to authenticity, which never disappoints. His talent is hard to find in any store out there. Are you like Cousin Ed? You have a lingering jersey curse that every player he gets a jersey of gets traded or injured and hurts the Rangers team? You want to change things up? You want to take an Eric Lindros jersey and make it a vintage Ken Hodge jersey in the late 70s? Got an old jersey collecting dust in your closet? Want to throw your name on the back and add a nice number of one of your favorite players? You can bring it back to life with a brand new kit at Oscar's Pro Stitch. So head on over to Oscar's Instagram at Oscars PSH. That's OSCARS PSH to check out the countless tarps he's already done and to place the order for his next one that possibly can post on Instagram and get ready to wear it to the next Ranger game or any event that you have coming up. Tell him the boys from Rangers Ed sent you and receive a special discount at Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey. Go get them, Rangers.
Nice, Coach Ed, with the ad read. I love that. You did a great job,
Super
man.
nice.
First
Making-
live. Kind
Yeah.
of live. We heard it live.
Kind of live, yeah. So, all right, there's no current number 89 for the Rangers, unfortunately.
Thank God.
The only one to ever wear it is Pavel Buchnevich, or Papa Buchnevich, according to this podcast. Shout out to NYR KZB, our fan of the week.
End of the week.
So figure that was appropriate. Buchnevich, obviously, I think he was a good Ranger. He was traded for Sammy Blais in a second-round pick. So, Coach, I put the stats in there for you since the trade. Buchnevich has played 109 games with St. Louis, 45 goals, 68 assists, 113 points, plus 28, 15 power play goals, 64 takeaways against only 54 giveaways and 93 hits. Sammy Blais, he had the injury, so he's only played 52 games, no goals, 9 assists, plus 5, 0 power play goals, 4 takeaways, 16 giveaways, 150 hits. And that second-round pick they got in the trade was dealt to Winnipeg as part of the haul for Andrew Kopp. Not looking like a good trade as of right now. What do you guys think, huh?
I don't know. Shout out to our fan of the week. I know Karen is a huge fan of Buchnevich, and she misses him every single day, and she makes sure that I hear about it almost every single day. So shout out to Karen for being a dedicated listener.
Thank God I'm not on Instagram.
Oh, gosh. She loves you, Coach Ed, and everything you got to say about her beloved Papa Buchnevich. But yeah, shout out to Karen. Thank you for all your support, and congratulations for being fan of the week.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out. But, I mean, listen.
Go ahead, Coach. What do you got to say about Papa Buchnevich?
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
All I have to say is, first of all, they didn't get Blais to score 45 goals in 140 games. We know that. Right? So
109 games.
Whatever it is, it's going to remain to be seen if he does something in the playoffs, if and when the Rangers get there. Secondly, I was watching NHL and they had the highlight of Buchnevich's assist in overtime. I forget who it was against. And it was a typical Buchnevich assist. He goes skating into 2 players. The puck gets slapped away from him, goes to his teammate. The guy goes in and scores, and he gets the assist. Not even like a pass. That's more than half of his assists are like that.
Well, if the puck was in full control of the other team, in between him having the puck and the player scoring, he wouldn't be credited with an assist.
I didn't say they had full control. I said they slapped it away from him and it went on the other player's stick.
Well, I'm just listen. The frustrating part about the trade, I think, for a lot of fans and probably for Karen, NYR KZB, probably for her as well, is we spent years developing this guy, going through the growing pains, watching him develop. He wasn't scoring at this rate for most of his career. And then finally, when he hits his prime and develops, he gets dumped to St. Louis for pretty much nothing. I mean, Sammy Blais given the Rangers nothing. Of course, it remains to be seen. I texted you guys, we'll see. I think he could be effective in the playoffs. Sure, if he's even in the lineup. But, we pretty much dumped him for nothing at all. And the guys who are supposed to step up in his place have yet to perform. So, it's just not looking like a good trade by any objective measure, but it is what it is. And I think we're trying to move on.
You knew they had to move him because of salary cap. That was to your own admission. So if they would have kept him, who was going to be gone?
Well, what I would have done if that was the best trade out there, if I was a Rangers GM, which I'm not, is I would have given him a 1-year deal, or I would have signed him to the 4-year deal he signed with St. Louis, and I would have looked to move him at a later time. I mean, if you think about it, right? If they signed,
but they had to sign other guys. What would that have done to who they signed now?
But they didn't. They held the cap space. They signed Patrick Nemeth with some of that cap space, who they ended up dumping to Arizona, and ultimate and Gaudreau. But they could have signed Gaudreau also. So what they should have done is kept Buchnevich.
Didn't they give Fox a contract, or was that contract before that?
That was after. His contract didn't kick in until after.
All right, so that might not have been allowed to for that money.
Well, I think what I'm trying to say is they could have given him a 1-year contract, and they wouldn't have needed to trade for Andrew Kopp. They could have kept all those assets, and they could have just self-rented Buchnevich and then let him walk. They would have been better off doing that. Than
I'm going to go out on a
giving up
limb and
the
say
rest.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say if they did not have Andrew Kopp in the playoffs last year and they had Buchnevich, they would not have got to the conference finals.
Well, I
That's
don't agree
That's
with that.
my opinion.
I agree with that.
There is no way
Much
he's
different
the same
player.
and did the same as Andrew Kopp would have did in the playoffs. That's
Kopp
my
was
opinion.
banged up all playoffs. I mean,
And imagine if Buchnevich took those hits in the playoffs.
Buchnevich
Oh, boy.
is 5 times the player that Andrew Kopp is. Not even close. There's no way I would have even traded Buchnevich for Kopp straight up at any point. That wouldn't have been on my radar. But you guys feel your way about Buchnevich? He's a scorer. He's over a point a game since the trade. I mean, he's a scorer. He's not going to do the things that a Barclay Goodrow would do. But anyway, I'm not going to re-debate the trade with you guys.
Hold on. I have a quick question. How long until like legitimately you can call it a bad trade? It's only been 2 years?
I think
even
when
2.
Sammy Blais is not on the Rangers next season and he's on a different team, and we are left with nothing as a result of the haul that we got for Buchnevich. The second round pick's gone, Kopp's gone, and Blais is gone. When that happens, you can clearly say it's a bad trade. And I'll tell you what, if Blais gets 1 goal, maybe you could say it's a good trade, right? If he just gets 1 goal as a Ranger, how about that? We'll set the bar that low. If he just scores a goal as a Ranger. Anyway.
So if Blais gone, then the trade tree ends at that point.
Trade, then it ends. If he walks
All
as
right.
he's unrestricted free agent. So we'll see if they even offer him a contract. But anyway,
Maybe they'll include him in something at the trade deadline.
Well, first of all, they can't. How could they offer him more than VC? Or come on. I mean, he's not even playing near that level. That's a slap in the face to a couple of guys if he gets offered any significant money, in my opinion. But whatever.
No, I mean, look, I agree that Blais, and this is the last thing I'll say on it if you guys are willing to move on. But I think if Blais,
sure?
if Blais gets in the playoffs, I'm open-minded. I know what he did with St. Louis again, in that cup run that they had, and I think he is a playoff style guy, and he could have an impact on a series if he is playing his game. He hasn't played his game at all with the Rangers, partially due to the injury, but we haven't gotten anything out of him yet. So as of this moment, I'm disappointed, but obviously I'm open-minded and hope that he can. I don't want him to fail. I want him to come in and kill it in the playoffs, and the Rangers going a deep run. So not rooting against Blais, but it's just hasn't been a very satisfying trade haul. That I'll leave it there. But so prior to the last episode, the Rangers were 23-12-7. They're 2-1-0 in the last 3 games, 25-13-7, 57 points, 3rd in the Metro, 9th in the NHL. They had the thrilling OT win against Dallas, where Little Ed was in the Delta Club, made it onto, I think you made it onto the Rangers Instagram with that
kind of
image you circle. Yeah, well, you made it onto the Rangers Ed pod Instagram at least.
Yeah.
Followed that up with a dud against the Canadiens, a 2-1 loss, and then a 3-1 victory against Columbus, back-to-back games against the 2 worst teams in the East. After the win in Dallas, a little bit disappointing to come up short against the Habs at home. Little Ed, I mean, what are your takeaways from that game? I didn't watch that one live, so I had to know the score and come in and watch a 2-1 loss to the Habs after. So I'm just curious, what are your live takeaways from that game?
It definitely seems slow. I mean, the Rangers seem like they took a step back, especially after such a high morale win. So, as I was watching the game, it was a little frustrating. I mean, at the same time, I was trying to just not like watch it with one eye, but not really pick it apart too much, because it also came out during the game, and especially after that, most of the players were battling a flu bug. Some of the players sat out or couldn't play, and other players decided to play, and obviously they weren't at 100%. So I think that definitely explains it. Obviously they bounced back against Columbus and they took care of business with a big win. So I think I'm going to blame it on the flu bug for that one and give them a pass. But obviously seeing a loss against a team like that is never enjoyable for us as fans.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
wasn't fun
Coach.
being at that game either.
Oh, you were
right,
there, Mikey?
Mikey.
Yeah.
Oh man, you every game you go to,
Mikey's
there's
the
a dud.
jinx. I said
Yeah.
that on the text message. We have
You
to
went
cut
to the
Mikey out.
He went to
Mikey's
the
got 2
4-0
stinkers
loss.
in a row. Yeah.
You went to the
Yeah.
4-0 Washington game too. I mean, that was a dud. Damn, dude, that's some big points in the standings that have been left when you're at the game. But anyway, so before we go to Coach, actually, now that you say that, like, what was the crowd like in that game? Was it active or was it booing? I mean, what was going on?
So it was a Sunday afternoon. It was a 5 p.m. game. I even texted Little Ed. I was like, "There's so many kids here that I can't even say a word because people like me, I like to use profound curse words, but
Yeah.
So it was super dead, super dead. The whole garden was super dead.
Yeah, and it also was up. It was up against the Giants game on TV, so a lot of fans probably didn't go that might have.
I think the Garden against Dallas, not to talk about it again, but it was the loudest I think I've heard it in a very long time, right, Dad?
Yeah.
I mean, probably
Yeah,
since
it was hopping.
Probably since we've been to those playoff games and stuff back into like 2014, 2015. But other than that, when they scored that tying goal and then the game-winning goal, the building was shaking. It was so loud. It was crazy.
Place went nuts. I mean, we could talk
Yeah, it
about
sucks
that.
that.
Just getting back to the Montreal game for a second. I mean, you're like, how could they lose to Montreal? But I'm looking at Montreal's prior games. They beat the Predators, who are a contender, lost to the Islanders, beat the Rangers, then beat the Jets. So, out of those four games, those 4 games, they lost 1 to the Islanders 2-1. I mean, I'm not trying to say they're in the playoff contention. They beat the Blues before that, and they lost to the Kraken, who are hot. So then
the Blues stink, and Nashville stinks also. But your point is well taken. They were playing well.
They're not. They don't stink. They're on the cusp of trying to get into the playoffs, and they got beat by the Canadians.
Wait, the Blues stink, you said?
Yeah, the Blues are 22-20-3.
Oh, that's why Buchnevich is going to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
No, it's because Tarasenko's out, and
well,
a couple guys.
Buchnevich was so great, then maybe he could pick it up. But whatever. Let's get off the.
He's doing what he could do, man.
I know.
But your point is well taken. I think.
I mean, I'm not saying the Rangers shouldn't have beat them. It was disappointing, but they're not going to win every game. They probably took it a little lightly.
Yeah.
An afternoon game. You could add on about 5 excuses. I'm sure the coach isn't going to listen to them, but whatever. They came back and they beat the Columbus. They didn't go on a skid, and the Dallas game was a big win.
I think Gallant's the one that said that they were all battling the flu bug or whatever. Stomach bug.
Yeah, well, Panarin.
Even Sam was battling it.
Yeah, for 2 weeks.
Panarin in that game had 7 shots on goal. I want to point this out. The Rangers, they haven't been playing poorly or anything. I'm not saying that. I mean, what are they, 15-3-2 in their last 20 games or whatever? So they're playing fine, but in the recent games, I feel like they're doing it more with defense and goaltending. The offense has kind of hit a little bit of a dry spell. Panarin, Zibanejad, they're not putting up the points. Kreider's been injured. The kids are not lighting it up with points. I mean, Hedels has a couple good games. Kakko has a couple good games, and then nothing for 5. Laffy hasn't scored a goal since the beginning of December. So I just feel like we need to just talk about the play of Adam Fox and Keandre Miller and the goaltending. Both Halak and Shesterkin have both been great. So, let's start with Fox and Miller. We touched on this last episode, but Coach, I mean, they're both like on absolute tear right now, I feel like. And that could be one point in the game, whatever, but they're controlling and dominating these games like they should be.
Yeah, Fox there's nothing else to say about him. Just that overtime goal, just his mind to be able to do that decision that quickly, knowing the goalie's there, and you saw the replay. He saw that all the way.
The overtime against Dallas.
He had that move in his mind the entire way, knowing what the goalie's doing, where the other 2 players were, the whole thing. And Keandre's just both ends of the ice. He's just making a lot of really good decisions. And he's getting out there with Schneider here and there. I saw him out there with Fox a couple of times. I don't remember if it was because of off power play time. I know Lindgren was hurt for a spell there in the one game, but he's getting some extra time, and he's earning it. He's putting in the minutes, and he's playing well.
Yeah, Little Ed. I mean, I'm looking at Miller's line in these games. Fox and Miller lead the team in points since the last podcast, right? But besides that, there's a lot of crooked numbers in Miller's box score, to use a baseball term. He's got 3 shots on goal, 4 hits, 2 blocks. Yeah, 3 giveaways, but also 2 takeaways. I mean, that's, to me, I mean, that just shows like how versatile he is and how he's developed. I mean, I'd like to see him hit a little bit more, but I did see he's got 90-something hits on the season, so it's not like he doesn't hit. He's much more physical this year. I mean, his overall game has improved, right?
Yeah, I like that he doesn't go out of his way to throw a hit. I mean, he definitely picks his spots, and he's still that dominant player below the goal line that I always talk about, and it's just great to watch. But I think the biggest thing that has stuck out with his game is, shout out to Mikey Produce's New Year's resolution, is he's a lot more confident and a little, I don't know, whatever we want to call it, selfish with the puck. And I think he's joining the rush almost every shift. So he's like all over the ice, but he's not forgetting about his defensive responsibilities. I mean, like I just said, he's picking his spots in that also. So he is definitely blossoming into a stellar defenseman, and hopefully he stays on this run so he follows up with Coach Ed's bold prediction too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and not to – oh, go ahead, Coach. No, go ahead.
I mean, you watch him. The only advice I would give him if I was in Mike's shoes, giving him the New Year's resolution, is to watch videos of Brian Leach, because he has the capability of dominating like Leach. He has the skating ability, the recovery, the shot, the offensive mind. Maybe he can learn a couple of things. Leach, like we talked about before, that I never realized watching him all those years, was a very physical player, but not out of his way, like Eddie said. Like Trouba needs to be physical because his skating ability isn't at that level. But a guy like Miller, Leach, they have that ability where they can be physical and make a play on offense and get back and make the play on D and finish the guy off. I think he's adding that. Last year and a half, he's added it. So hopefully it grows a little more. And if it's in him, it's in him. If it's not, it's not. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, so we can't move on from Keandre and Fox without just, going a little deeper into the Dallas game. I mean, so Miller on the ice in the final minute when the Rangers pulled the goalie, he's on the ice. I mean, typically isn't out there. I feel like with Krieder out, it created a little bit, it gave Gallant a little bit of an opportunity to kind of mix his final lineup at the end. Capocacco was on the ice, and Miller and Fox, and Coach, I noticed Miller and Fox, I think, played like the last 3 minutes of that game. They played together.
Yeah.
They didn't come off the ice. I think Miller had like a 2.5-minute shift to end the game. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on Gallant and how he used the players in that game, but also the idea that maybe going with Miller and Fox as a pair in the final 3 minutes to either tie a game or close a game out. What do you think about that moving forward?
I think it's great. I mean, it's again what we have spoke about before, where a coach is going to go by his hunch during that game. He wanted obviously they needed the offense to get a goal at that point. So you're putting out 2 strong offensive players. I love Lindgren, but don't get me wrong. If you need a goal with no goalie in the net, Keandre's probably a better percentage to get a goal there. But the big key on that whole play, I mean, I wasn't as fortunate enough to watch the game at the level Eddie was. I was up on the bridge. Ottinger played not out of his mind. He played very good, but he had clear vision of almost every shot in that game. Until that overtime goal, he had vision of every shot. I'm watching it from up top, and I said to Kathy, he's got too much sight of the puck. And if you watch that overtime goal, there were like 3 bodies in front of him. And,
yeah, I mean, that's the way you got to score in the league these days. All the goals are so good.
Yeah, but the Rangers, is it because Krieder wasn't there? I don't know. Then Gaudreau got one against Columbus like that, so maybe they're thinking about it more. I don't know. But that game was clear from up high that Ottinger just had sight of 98 out of 100 shots.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And then Gallant starts overtime with Filipino, Laffy, and Schneider. So I just wanted to note that because I complained about it. So, Coach, I'm going to say it. You told me to give him credit when he does things I like. That's great. I love that. You know, those guys, Panarin, Zibanejad, Fox, they just played the last 2 minutes of the game trying to tie it. Puts out 3 fresh young kids to start overtime. I really like that move. And then Panarin was able to come out and, you know, muscle a guy in front of the net, you know, because he just got a little bit of a break. So I want to give Gallant a little credit with that decision. And I don't know where Panarin – I haven't seen Panarin muscle a guy in front of the net like that since before COVID.
Well, I don't know about muscling, but he kind of got on the guy's arm.
No,
when
he did.
Heedle
He bared down, you know.
When Heedle had the puck on his stick and he took it out of the offensive zone and brought it back and he had Pavelski on him, I thought the game was going to end. I was so scared. I was like, oh, my God, of course it's Pavelski. Of course it's Heedle. I was like, he's going to turn it over and Pavelski's going to score. Thank God it didn't happen.
No, Heedle's good. He's not going to turn it over there.
Oh, yeah, he never does that.
The one who would turn it over there.
Thank God he had the right lie on his stick.
The one who would turn it over in that spot would be Laffy, not Heedle.
This is true.
But anyway, we got to talk about Laffy. You know, I don't want to make this too negative of a podcast, but obviously, you know, look, the thing is, this kid was drafted first overall. He was, you know, billed as a surefire, immediate NHL star. Obviously, that hasn't happened. Fans are disappointed. Social media is crazy right now, wanting to trade Laffy for Jacob Chikrin and all kinds of crazy ideas. Probably not going to happen, so I wouldn't get your hopes up if you're one of these trade Laffy people. But, you know, he gets an opportunity. We've been calling for it as fans for a while. Give him an opportunity. Play him with good players. Put him on the power play. He gets that opportunity for 2 or 3 games after the Krieder injury. Doesn't record a point. Makes a couple of good plays. You know, I thought he played pretty well. I wouldn't say he played poorly or anything like that. But, you know, no points, right? No points. I mean, coach, at some point, he's got to put some points up. You know, he's got 5 goals on the season. He hasn't scored in over a month. He's clearly going through it right now. He's fighting himself, it seems. I don't really know what else they can do.
It's like in baseball when they say they're holding the bat too tight. Now he's just a little snake bit. I mean, we saw your boy Bushnevich go through that. We saw that back in the 90s, Kovalev went through that. It was very frustrating. But I made Eddie and Mike watch that Rupper little tail of the tape on NHL Network. I don't know if you got to see it. Did you see it or no?
No.
All right. Well, he basically said he focused on his power plays against what was the game, Ed? It wasn't Dallas. Was it Dallas? It was the Dallas game.
Yeah, it must have been Dallas.
He was in the Krieder role.
Yep.
He said, and he could have went into that game knowing he's on the power play saying, I really need to shoot. I really need to get a goal. But his role in the power play was Kreider's role, and he showed how he did it perfect. And it was Dallas because they were 0 for 4. He showed that he did his job on that power play.
Every time.
And the thing I want to go back to when I talk about the coach's corner is what is going to be part of that power play also. But he did his job every time. He was in front of the goalie. He did what he was supposed to do. And Rupp said, point blank, and I know you're not going to like this, he compared him to Stutzel on Ottawa. He says, yeah, he's doing great offensively. He says, but just what Eddie's been saying, that Laffy's been able to develop as a player where they don't need him to be a number 1 star in the league right now. And in 5 to 7 years, that's when you're going to tell if this is all working. Because Rupp said, I'd rather have Laffy at 80 points a year in his career in 7 years playing 2-way hockey than have Stutzel now that might fizzle out and that might not develop into that kind of player. And he said, Gallant is doing a great job with the young kids.
Okay. Well, I don't agree with that, but
well, I know you don't, but I'm just telling
disagree.
You.
I don't disagree with, I don't know why you say I wouldn't like Laffy developing into a complete player. I do like that.
You said, but man, you were not going to like what Rupp had to say.
But yeah, but when you get into the numbers are the numbers. I mean, you could talk about, he did his job on the power play. Like, sure. Okay. But that's not what he was drafted for. That's not the type of player he is. So they're using him incorrectly then is how I see that. But regardless, when you look at the numbers, I mean, he's on a pace right now to be the biggest bust of any first overall pick in the last 25 years. He has fewer points in his first 180 games than Patrick Stefan did. You know who that is? He had fewer points than Nail Yakupov. I mean, he's just on a horrible points pace. And I think it's right to question that and how he's
What
being
about 5
used.
on 5 points?
Yeah, I mean, his 5 on 5 points are a little bit better, right? Those guys did get a little bit of power play time.
Those two guys you just mentioned, what teams were they on?
Atlanta Thrashers and Edmonton Oilers. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I understand. I'm not disagreeing with you that he's been buried behind star players. He's not getting power play time. That is the excuse I give for him not producing points. So I'm in agreement there. I'm not going to fight you on that. But the stats are the stats. So I think fans are right to be a little frustrated and say, what the heck is going on? Is this kid going to be a star? Or do we have a middle six guy on our hands? Like, did we draft a first overall pick who's going to be a middle six winger? I mean, I think that's what is frustrating a lot of fans out there. But we got to be patient, right, Ed? I mean,
Got to be patient,
Right.
Come
you
on.
got to
That's
give.
what-
He hasn't even
Go ahead.
finished his entry level deal. And people are saying he's a bust. Like, he hasn't even finished that yet.
He hasn't finished his entry level deal. He had to play through the COVID season. From the time he stopped playing hockey with World Juniors and all that, it was 8 months. We talked about all this in old episodes. He didn't have a normal development process by any means. So, I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses, but that's just the reality of the situation. Like I was trying to say before, his 5 on 5 points are up there. Like, he's buried behind players like Zibanejad. Obviously not Zibanejad, Krieder and Panarin on the left wing. So he's obviously not going to beat those guys out on the left wing unless he starts playing ungodly hockey, which is never going to happen. He's just not that type of player, So we have to be more patient. Like you said, he's still in his ELC. Kakko took a few years to develop. Obviously, now he's not there yet, but he shut up the fans enough where our focus is back on Laffy. And I mean, you're saying that they're not utilizing him properly on the power play. It's hard, especially when a player like Krieder goes down, how important he is to that power play. Being in front of the net, causing distractions for Mika on that side, getting to the puck. If you're able to go watch that Rupper thing on NHL Now, he explained that Laffy's job being in that position down low is winning the puck battles and getting to those pucks down low below the goal line first and getting the puck back out to Fox, back out to Zibby, Panarin, whoever. And he ran through like 3 or 4 videos of him doing that exact thing and getting those pucks, winning those battles and doing your job. So what I'm trying to get at, I know it's a little long-winded, but a Rangers power play that you can't just change everything just because you're trying to get Laffy an opportunity to score. You can't just all of a sudden, you don't have enough practice time to just change the whole power play. But he was able to perfectly squeeze into that role. And I think that says a lot about him as a hockey player in general, that he's a coachable. He's able to just mirror Krieder. Like, I was there. A lot of those power plays are right in the zone that I was sitting so close. And you could literally like I said, like it looked exactly like Krieder, how he was playing, battling in front, getting to those pucks behind the net. Obviously, they're both lefties. So, like I said, it was very obvious. It was very clear that was his role. He was doing very well. And like I said, I think that says a lot about his character, his ability to mold to different situations, that kind of thing. And I think that's really important.
And on Rupp's point, to fight the fact that he hasn't scored and to not be pissed off and just go into a hole and to do what he was supposed to do anyway. The mental capacity to do that as a 23-year-old. How old is he?
21.
21-year-old. And not pout about it and go do that job. That's what Rupp was so impressed with.
Yeah.
That he didn't say, I need to score and try to do everything to score. He did what he was supposed to do.
Well, I don't think anybody is going to question Laffy's character or his coachability, which is really what you guys are describing. And I think that it's great that he has those attributes. But before we move on, I just want to read you guys a central scouting analysis of him prior to his draft. And this is why fans are frustrated, because this is what they thought they were getting. So I'm going to read this to you, and I want you to tell me what he has displayed of these characteristics in his NHL career thus far. Okay. And you might find something. Exceptionally smart player with top end speed and a pull away gear. Great at carrying the puck and leading rushes and executing under pressure. Has great vision and anticipation. High-end puck skills and vision to create plays. An impressive compete level every time he's on the ice and elevates his game in pressure situations while demonstrating leadership skills. So
That's juniors, first of all.
no, I'm just saying
Now
that's what.
well, I'm answering your question. I'm answering
So
your statement. That's
if that's
juniors. So now he's up playing with the big boys as a 19-year-old. That's a big difference. He's playing at 19, he's playing with 17, 18-year-olds. Now he's 19 playing with 25 to 30-year-olds. It's a
right,
big adjustment to make.
I
So
don't
it
disagree with
might
that.
take him another year. It might take him 2. Hey, he may be a bust. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think he's going to be a damn good hockey player.
It
Just
depends how
gonna
you
take-
define bust, though, right? Like, I think it's
It's
pretty
also-
safe to say he'll be a minimum, a 50-point middle six guy. I think he's a minimum going to develop into that. And if you consider that a bust as a first overall pick, fine. You know, some people might. But he'll be a useful hockey player. I don't think he's going to be out of the league. But that might be a bust for a first overall pick. You know,
I mean,
that's
last
not.
year, Lance said last year he had 19 goals. It is a little disappointing. He thought it'd be better, but hey, we talked about it, like Eddie said, with Kako for the last 2 years. What did he get? 5 goals, 6 goals.
Yeah. Well, Kako's
Missing
still
the
not
net.
scoring that many points, but he
I know,
looks
but-
good. He looks
But
good.
missing the net, hitting the post, you know, it's gonna, you know, different players develop. We keep saying it; they develop at a different pace.
Yeah, we
I'm
got to be
hoping he-
patient. We got to
He's
be
a good
patient.
player. Laffy, I think he's a good player.
He can't
I
be.
also
He
think
can't be in a healthy scratch. I think that's where it went downhill for him. I
Yeah.
don't think he took that scratch the right way.
I think it's a blessing in disguise also as far as the cap crunch goes that he hasn't broken out yet. So instead of getting a contract like Jack Hughes or something like that, he's going to hopefully get a contract like Kako.
Yep.
And it puts the Rangers in a pretty good position. Then he hopefully will break out or play a little bit better like Kako is now. And yeah, I mean, I think there's still plenty of time. There's still plenty of opportunities for both of those players to get better.
I definitely think so. I think fans, just to wrap this up, you got to be patient with Laffy. I mean, you can't label a player a bust at 21 years old on his entry level deal. Has he been disappointing? In my opinion, he has. I think he's been disappointing. I expected, a better, more dynamic player based on the video of him and what his scouting report and expectations were. But there's time, and like Coach said, they're using him in different ways, and it's not entirely on him. The coaching staff has to use him in the way that fits his skill set. So I think Gallant recognizes that, and he also, Coach, he defends Laffy very much.
He
I
does.
think he's getting frustrated with all the questions about Laffy now at this point. He was making comments after the Montreal game, like, "Okay, guys, really more about Laffy? You won't leave the kid alone, So,
Especially in Montreal, it's where he's from. So
yeah, let's just keep an eye on it. I think if he has a big second half, or a good playoff or something, I think the fans will lighten up on him. So hopefully he can get his game together and get out of his own head. But on a positive note, to shift gears, the win against Dallas was the Rangers' 12th come from behind victory of the season, which is second most in the league. The early season narrative, again, I bring this up every episode. We talked ad nauseum about how the Rangers do not play a complete 60 minutes. Is a come from behind victory, when we talk about it as a positive, is it also kind of like a subtle negative? Because again, it means that you're behind in games, right? Coach, I mean, you're behind in the game and you're needing to come back to win. So are you playing a full 60?
Who's first in come from behind?
I think it's New Jersey.
Okay, because Boston has a lot of come from behinds too. I mean, I see them. I don't watch every game, but in highlights, I see that they're down a goal, down 2 goals. They're coming back to win. I mean, games go back and forth, and momentum shifts back and forth, like in every sport. And what are you going to consider a come from behind? Down a goal going into the third? I don't really know what's considered that. It's a game where the other team's going to score, and you have to get one also. So that Dallas game, it was 1-0. They had 4 good power plays. They had opportunities. They couldn't put it by them. They hit a post in front of me. They were making stuff happen. The puck just wasn't. They weren't getting that puck luck, if you want to call it. They're playing well. It wasn't like they got blown out. I didn't really see the Montreal game up close, to see what was going on that closely. But
I didn't think they played bad in that game, honestly. I really didn't.
no, they were just a little slow. They were just a little off.
They just didn't take it to them. The will was missing, but the play execution was pretty good. I mean, they just didn't bury it. Sam
Right,
Montembeau was the number 1 star. I mean, that says everything that you
And
can say.
Shesterkin was the number 3 star in a loss.
Right, exactly.
But I'm saying the comfort behind it. I think it's a sign of a good team.
Well, you're not going to win every game, right? I mean, you can't go ahead and hold on to a victory or hold on to a lead every single game. So I think it's more important to look at it on the other side, that it shows character. Again, that word, it shows character in between periods, the locker room attitude, probably the motivation, the coaching staff, everybody able to not give up and just play that full 60 and literally play the full 60 because they scored with 0.9 seconds left or whatever it was. So, I mean, that was, I'll say it, it was just an unbelievable
0.2
game.
seconds or something ridiculous.
It was 0.2.
Yeah, so
I'd rather
the
see
mantra,
the stat.
no quit in New York.
Yeah, I'd rather see the stat personally of holding on to the lead going into the third period. That to me is a more important stat of how good they are. If you are a good team, you should be coming back when you're down a goal or two in the third period. But if you're giving up goals in the third period and losing games or giving up points because of that, then to me, that's a bigger problem.
It's also like Coach said before, like they weren't playing poorly leading up to that point. It's not like they were just hanging on against Dallas. And they finally were able to put one in. Like they were pouring it on, and Ottinger was playing really well. Dallas was playing really well defensively. So like you can't really blame the Rangers at all on that. And then they deserved to win that game at the end. So it worked out.
They shut down Pavelski and Robertson. They did a really good job. There was a guy you talk about watching live. There was a guy on Robertson constantly.
Yeah.
When he didn't have the puck.
The whole reason
I think he whacked Fox once in the corner by us. When Fox was frustrating him, he turned around and whacked him. Fox went back at him.
Yeah.
They were
the whole reason I picked this game to go to in our season package was because I wanted to see Robertson, and he didn't do much at all. I didn't barely even notice him out there.
Yeah, they frustrated him pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job for sure defensively over this stretch. So hopefully they can keep that up and get the offense going. But all right, so let's move on. Let's go into the broadcast banter.
It's a power play goal.
I can't just put the picture up and move on. That's it. Now next segment, right? I mean, I don't even know like what to say. So what do we got? So you were at the Dallas game, so you guys don't have anything from that. You got anything from the Habs and Blue Jackets games?
I have stuff. I forget which game this was. It was the game that they weren't doing well on the power play. I think it might have been the Blue Jackets, or at least Panarin wasn't doing well on the power play. And I love when Joe does the little commentary when they just show them on the bench talking, and he goes, when Gaudreau deflected it in, that's what it was. He goes, how did you do that? I've been trying to score on the power play all game. Yeah, that's exactly what Panarin's saying at Gaudreau. I just love when he does that little
He's
dialogue.
Probably saying like Panarin's probably like, was that your first goal of the year?
Yeah.
How about when they said it was Gaudreau's first power play goal in his career, and Sam goes to Joe, how many did you get in your career? Something like that.
It was really his first power play in his career.
Yeah, they were digging each other left and right that game. That Columbus game.
He's a defensive guy, man. He's never
put up
it was any points.
I'm just surprised.
Before coming to the Rangers, Gaudreau, I think, cracked 20 points only one time. He's definitely evolved a little bit with the Rangers. So I just thought I caught the only one I have is I caught Joe talking about Caulfield in Montreal, and instead he was about to say he's a great shooter of the puck, but he caught himself and didn't say it because it's just an absurd way to say he's a good shooter. So he said he's a great he's got a great shot. And I was like, there you go, Joe. Like, you got it. You just have to say he has a great shot.
He must be listening to us.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I got to stop doing that so they don't make fun of me on this podcast.
There was one in the Columbus game, too, when Sam Rosen, there was a penalty that they didn't call. And Sam Rosen's like, there should have been a penalty. And Joe goes, you got to get your arm up, Sam, and blow that whistle.
Oh, man. All right. Anything else before we move on?
The only other one I had was when they broke the news that Filipino's been using the wrong stick his entire hockey career. You didn't. I guess you didn't watch that video I put in the chat because you were behind. You probably thought I was spoiling something, but
Right.
apparently Heedle over the summer changed the lie of his stick. Someone finally told him that he was using the wrong lie. So instead of fanning on shots and missing the net, he's now putting the puck in the net.
Sniping.
He also had a piece of plywood in his backyard over the summer, and he really worked on his shot, Joe.
On a piece of plywood.
Whatever he said, a piece
that's
of
how I
wood
learned my
sheeting
shot.
or
But
something.
that's how we did it. He's in the NHL.
Well,
they can't,
maybe he was in
they
the
can't give him
summer
that
in,
synthetic ice or whatever.
Where's he from? Finland? Where's he from?
Yeah, but give him a block of that synthetic ice.
I don't know if
buy.
he said the ply. I don't know if he said
No, he
plywood.
said plywood. He
some-
did say
He
plywood.
did say plywood.
He said wood.
Something. Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right. Let's move on. Let's go into Coach's Corner with Coach Ed.
All right, boys, bring it in.
All right, Coach, take it away. What's your topic this week?
You cut me off on that, Mike. Well, the one thing I noticed about Trocheck, watching him over the last couple of games, I mean, there's a thing that the coaches always talk about: puck support, whether it's on the power play or even strength. And if you notice Trocheck, I've been seeing it a lot. If there's someone battling for the puck on the wall, he's always on the right side of the puck. If you listen to Valaket, he was talking about some players not being on the right side of the puck, meaning that if the puck comes loose, you should be on the defensive side of the puck to grab it and then go forward.
The
He
correct
always
side
is
of
on-
the puck, not
Yeah.
left and right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you
On
clarify?
the correct side of the puck.
for the
Would say
fans.
the correct side of the puck.
Yeah. As hockey players, we know what the right side of the puck means, but it's the correct side of the puck.
So if you watch when he has a teammate battling, it's called puck support. They're battling along the wall or about to fight for a puck. It always seems that Trocheck is in the right spot to get that puck that was chipped out of the battle and then move forward. Not always, but very often. It happened quite a bit in the Columbus game. I saw it in the Dallas game. So it's just something to look for, and that's very important, supporting the puck and supporting your teammates. And on that power play, those 3 power play clips, I think 2 out of the 3 that he showed, Trocheck was the one that retrieved it when Laffy was tying the guy up and battling, which is that what do we call that again? The bumper player's job. And if you notice on the power play, like when Fox is in trouble at the point and he's got to make a quick decision, immediately see Trocheck come up to an open area so he could just flip it to him.
Little mini give and go.
Yeah. But he doesn't just stand there and watch. He recognizes his teammates in a little bit of trouble or the trouble coming, and he's there to support whatever play he has to do. So keep an eye out for that. Very important part of the game that goes unnoticed by the average fan, I believe.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point. I mean, for the fans out there, Coach, I just want you to elaborate a little more. So like let's say it's like a 3-on-2. Is there a right side of the puck for Trocheck to be on? Right? Does he need to, hang back behind
an odd man rush?
Right. So just, a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-2 or, different situations. I mean, is there a time where as a player, that's not an important thing to be thinking about?
Well, we always talk about the third man high and not having 3 guys down by the goal line. And that's very important. And more often than not, you're not going to see him joining the 2 forwards down by the goal line unless there's a chance to win a puck in the corner and he has to go down there. So that's another very important part of the defensive game. So, again, that would be – he has that defensive mind. Like Panarin, you're not going to see do that often because their DNA doesn't have that in them. Certain plays, it's just not in them. They're going to go for the goal. They're going to go to the net. They're going to go. They think they can do it every time, and that it's a different kind of a player. Like Gaudreau has it in him not to over commit and make the right play in the right position and support the point man. He more often than not, you'll see Trocheck back. I even see Heedle doing it a lot now. When Fox is pinching on the wall, Trocheck is curling back and covering that because he's in the high slot. So and that's where we talked about, and Valaket went over it a lot, and Rupper, that the coach has trust in those kind of players to put him out in certain situations. He's not going to, he's going to put them out when he needs to put them out because they're more often than not on the correct side.
Would you say Trocheck is our best defensive center? Or is it Banijad?
I mean, Zibanejad's very good at it too. I mean, we've seen him make a few mistakes, but he's playing an unbelievable two-way game as well.
Can you explain?
He reads the battles.
Can you explain, as the resident plus-minus expert on this podcast, how Vincent Trocheck is a -7 this year?
I gave my explanation that's because Panarin, those giveaways that we talk about, and Valaquet's been talking about it. Even Micheletti's been saying it on games that you just cannot make that play. They went to the Columbus game 3-0. He goes, that's not a necessary play. He's just got to dump that in deep. And, his line mates are going to be taking the brunt of that if there's a minus. I mean, can I tell
Panarin
how many?
himself is -4. Trocheck is -7, the worst on the team. I agree. I like Trocheck's defensive game. I just think that is another example why plus-minus is a misleading stat.
I don't understand how he's a -7. I really.
Well, you have to say he's a -7, but you have to. I mean, again, we're not analyzing every goal. We'd have to go through every goal he was out for and see if it was someone else's fault, if he was in the right position.
That line generally struggles 5-on-5 to produce points, and I think that might be why. I mean, when you look at their even strength, numbers, it's just not great. A lot of their points come on the power play. Those players. But Coach, just to wrap up your point, Panarin this year is 48 giveaways and only 16 takeaways. By far the most giveaways on the team, 48 giveaways. So,
I mean, as a player, wouldn't you look at that stat and say, I have to stop?
Well, I
have
think
to do something to get better at that. I mean, come on.
I think so. I think part of it is just the volume of him having the puck. Like Fox has 43 giveaways. The difference is that Fox has 43 giveaways. He has 41 takeaways. So his differential, you look at giveaway takeaway differential to see, what a player's doing, is only a -2 in giveaway takeaway. Whereas Panarin has 16 takeaways and 48 giveaways.
I don't know if you can compare giveaways with a defenseman and a forward because you got to think. I don't know how they do that stat. If Fox is behind the net and he looks to make an outlet pass and all of a sudden someone intercepts it on the wall, is that a giveaway?
If it's a clean interception, yes.
That's how they do it. It's got to be a clean interception.
Right. If it's like deflected, it's not a giveaway. But if somebody,
what about like sending it around the boards? Like
that's what I'm saying.
If it cleanly goes to the other team, it's considered a giveaway. It has to be like Fox has it, he releases the puck, and the other team takes possession cleanly from that. Not like a tip pass or deflected out of play or anything like that.
That's
or
surprising to me that he's got.
Or if he gets his pocket picked, that's also considered a giveaway. But I mean, look, with
shows
Fox,
how many times they have the puck on their stick a game.
Right, with Fox, I mean, you got to think Fox and Panarin, they have over 40 giveaways. How many pass attempts do you think Fox has in this season? 45 games, at least like 5 a game, right?
That's not a stat.
More than that.
5 or 6 to 10. I don't know.
Pass attempts.
Got to have at least 20.
So he might have 5 or 6
game?
a shift.
I would say 20 a game.
Okay, so then that means he's
pass
attempted
attempts.
20.
He might have 5 or 6 pass attempts a shift.
Okay, so he's attempted 20 times 45 passes this year,
800,
which would be 900. And he's turned it over 43 times, right? Panarin, how many pass attempts does he have? Probably
it's a different
less than
position.
5.
It's a different position.
Right. So I think you look at it that way. Look at the pass attempts and giveaways, and that gives you maybe an indication of how bad they're turning it over.
Now, what's his plus minus, Fox?
Fox is a plus 19.
All right.
19.
Well, there's your other answer. Add that into that. So that's telling you right there that there's really. But on Panarin's line, they haven't had the same line mate. The same right wing all the time. So it's a little difficult. I'll give him a couple little things, but the glaring giveaways on the cross ice in certain games were horrible.
Yeah, but Trocheck, his numbers, that -7 does not show what kind of defensive player is. I agree. He's really good defensively.
Keep an eye on that when you watch it next time. I thought it was pretty cool. I watched him do it a few times. It's especially on the power play, the way he just supports, comes out of the bumper when he has to. It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, shout out
to
Trocheck.
That's not something. I mean, you can teach it, but it's not something that every player can do that well. You can go through chalkboard, or you go through everything, But in a game situation to make that decision at the right time, it's pretty good. He does it really well.
Yeah, shout out to Troach. All right, let's move on into our stars of the week. All right, let's start off with our offensive player of the week. Let's go to Little Ed. Start us off with the offensive player of the week. Kind of a light week offensively, so we'll see what we got. What do you got?
I went with Keandre for the reason I said before. He seems to be joining the rush at least once a shift, and he's got a point per game in this stretch of 3 games. So Keandre.
Yeah, I like that. Mike, what about you? Offensive.
I'm going with Mr. Adam Fox.
Ditto. Coach Ed? Same.
Foxy.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about it earlier. I think Foxy's kind of really putting the Rangers on his back right now offensively. Miller too, though, the two of them together. So 2 weeks in a row, all defense for offensive player of the week. It just tells you everything you need to know about what the forwards are doing right now. All right,
Another goal from the defense, Joe.
Defensive player of the week. Let's go to our defensive coach, Little Ed. I'll go to you again. Defensive
Back to
player.
back. I went with Foxy. I think I was talking to Coach about this on the train ride home. I take back everything I said about Fox's defensive ability. When I saw him live that close in the Dallas game, he was just unbelievable in the defensive zone. Outlet passes, takeaways, battles in front, checks behind the net. I never really noticed until you're really that close how aggressive he can play and how strong he actually is behind the net and things like that.
So are you willing to now admit that the advanced statistics are matching the eye test with Adam Fox's defense?
I think so, yeah. I guess I am willing to admit that I was wrong. So that's why I gave him the defensive player of the week.
All right. Well, last week you gave yourself a pat on the back and shouted yourself out. This week you
that?
admitted you were wrong. So
Back to even keel.
you're showing your coachability.
Yeah.
Definitely.
This too
All right.
shall pass. Never too high, never too low.
I like that. Coach Ed, defensive player of the week.
I mean, I never took away from Adam Fox as a defensive player. I just felt he wasn't physical enough against certain players. But his defensive ability, I don't think I ever said that he was not a good defensive player. I think we all agree that he shouldn't be on the penalty kill so much, but that's another issue.
100%.
I went with Keandre. Keandre's on both ends of the ice. He's making great neutral zone decisions and causing a lot of stir out there. I like the way he's playing.
Yeah, no, I definitely like Keandre, the way he's playing. I took him as well. I mean, so we just kind of flipped with Little Ed. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I took Keandre Miller as well.
All right, so Fox and Miller run the gambit on offensive and defensive player of the week, and probably on the next award, the highlight play of the week as well. I'll start us off. I'm gonna take the Keandre, the Keandre Selly after the goal.
After which goal? His tying goal?
Yeah, after his tying goal. The goal itself, just the whole play, for him to have the ability to get his shot blocked, recover the puck, and get it on net with such little time left on the clock, and he knew he had to kind of shovel it. He didn't wind up. He didn't bring his stick back, take a full wrist shot. He kind of just did a shovel shot and squeaked it through 5-hole. Just good, really good awareness from Keandre, and then the Selly that followed. I mean, that was awesome. So I went with the tying one.
I had an Uncle Pat moment when that happened. I was like, Dallas blocks every score. they must have had like 50 shot blocks that game.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they did.
I said to my friend, I was like, "Damn it, Dallas blocks every." Yeah, I thought the game was over after that first shot block.
I was so worried they were going to check the clock
like that.
I know. I was like, "Don't check the clock. Just go to OT."
Yeah.
All right, Mikey. What about you? Highlight.
I got to give it to Fox, man. And that overtime goal, that was just a beaut. Absolute beaut.
Yeah.
I mean, that was unreal. How many players do you think just shoot that right away in the NHL? Like what percentage do you think just get that puck and snap it and don't have the awareness to bring it backhand And dude, I think
I'd say
probably
99.9%.
Yeah, there's probably like 20 guys.
98%.
There's probably like 20 guys in the league that would have made
Maybe.
that play. You know,
Maybe.
yeah. Beautiful goal. Little Ed, what about you? Highlight.
You got to go with that. It was unbelievable.
Foxy goal,
Like you
or?
said, like he got the Fox's goal. He got the defenseman to bite. He got Ottinger to be way out of position. And then he had that backhand, a wide open net. It was insane.
He holds the puck for like 5 seconds. It's like, I don't know how
He does that in the defensive zone behind the net. He does it on the point in the power play, on the point even. It's
like the puck like sticks to his tape. It's crazy.
It's wild.
Coach,
you think the winger is going to be able to poke it away, and he's just like whoop. And then
Right,
somehow he only has like this amount of space to like turn around too and like get it to the next player. It's like
it's that brain, dude. He's got the geometry down of where the puck needs to be.
It's crazy.
Coach, who's your highlight?
I mean, I gave it to Fox's goal, but let's look at the whole play. Like you said, Panarin made the play coming off the bench. Zibanejad made this great play. He got tripped up. He tripped the guy kind of that could have been somewhat of a penalty. He got tripped up. Still got it to Panarin, who gave it to Fox. And in a 3-on-3 overtime, it's generally like a 2-on-1, a breakaway, a beautiful. This was like a gritty 3-man play in the high slot area, and just finished it off.
Everybody was fighting for the puck, and the Rangers guys, Zibby and Panarin, won the battles. And it's great to see, because I feel like that's been lacking from their games. So it's like, hey, you guys can bring that in the playoffs. Rangers could do some damage. We need them to play that way. Panarin used to play like that.
And you talk about a deflating goal. You had to see Dallas as soon as it went in. The whole team
Ottinger just went right off the ice.
Oh my God! They had to go all the way. They had to go the whole length of the ice.
Yeah, he just went right.
The whole
across.
team just went off the ice. The place is going crazy, and they all just like raced off the ice. They were so pissed off.
Definitely. All right, let's move on to the Jesper Fast Key Contributor Award. A lot of guys to pick in these games. I'll start it off. I could have went with one guy. I think you guys may have picked him, but I went with Lindgren. And part of the reason I went with Lindgren is I just feel like he's not really getting a lot of attention because he doesn't put up points like Fox and Miller and all that. But it was very noticeable to me that Fox, after getting the Broadway hat, comes out, scores the OT goal against Dallas, and needs to give the Broadway hat to another player in the locker room. And you're thinking he might give it to Shesterkin or Keandre for tying the game or something like that. And he goes and hands it off to Ryan Lindgren, who didn't really show up on the stat sheet at all. And he just said, this is a guy who grinds it out every game and does whatever we need to do to win. He deserves the hat. Kind of sharing the love a little bit. I know he's best friends with him. They, whatever. So maybe he's a little biased. But I think that exemplifies what Lindgren brings to the Rangers really well. He's just so steady out there, and we kind of take him for granted. Kind of an unsung hero. He wasn't a big-time prospect, and he really has become a really good player and a very important part of the team. So I gave it to Lindgren. Kind of a nod to Foxy giving him the hat. Coach, what about you?
I mean, I can't argue with any of that, but I gave it to Goody.
Yeah, that's
first power play goal.
That's the guy that probably deserved it most.
He exemplifies the Jesper Fast Key Contributor Award. You could probably pick him every week, but I
pick Lindgren every week too.
Yeah,
Lindgren and him are the two guys. I mean, VC's in that area, but these two guys are just that's what you need. They lead by example. And look at Lindgren in Columbus. He went off for almost the whole second period. They're all like, he comes out in the third period like he didn't even miss a shift.
Yeah, he's
not limping, not any.
Guy's falling apart. He's physically falling apart. I mean, I'm curious how long his career lasts, to be honest with you.
He's a beast.
All right, so Mikey, key contributor.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Coach, giving it to Goody.
Definitely fair. Little Ed.
I think those are all good picks. I mean, VC, like we just said, could definitely be picked every week. I think just him playing on like a different line is says enough about him every week or whatever. But I went with a lock. I think after the loss to Montreal, I think a stinker against Columbus or possibly losing back-to-back game against a bottom feeder team would have been pretty bad. So he was able to come in against Columbus and shut them down, saving 24 out of 25. I think that's very good. And I think he played a great game. So I wanted to shout him out for something.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, I like that pick. It's a really good point. Playing Shesterkin against Montreal, you knew Halak was getting the start no matter what happened in the Montreal game. And then they lost that game, and it could have been really bad losing 2 in a row. You're absolutely right. So good pick. I like it. All right, now what everyone's been waiting for. Let's move on to Coach Ed's Copyright Doghouse Award. I love that. Cody just got scared behind me. Like, what the
You
hell
got to
is
get
that?
a bulldog on that.
That is a bulldog.
I know
No.
the picture of him.
An actual picture.
He doesn't like the logo. He wants you to change the logo and put a bulldog on there, okay? So
No, leave that
threw it.
logo, but on the side have the bulldog.
I threw a
Is that-
doghouse sticker on my cup. Now this is my
Nice.
Rangers Ed cup officially.
I love that. That's hilarious. All right, Coach, it's your doghouse. So last week you had the 4-on-3 power play unit in.
Well, they didn't have a 4-on-3 power play, so they're still in.
I told you that's why I didn't put them in, because I
Well-
felt like it would be impossible to take them out. But anyway, okay, so the 4-on-3 unit is still in.
As much as I hate to do it, I'm going to put VC with one step in.
BC with one
Wow.
step in.
Yeah,
And why is
I
that?
love VC, but I don't know. He just it looked like he struggled a couple of games there.
A little bit of a contract slump.
Nah, one game, one little. Let's see what happens. I think he'll bounce. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, no reason no play in particular, just generally his overall
Just
play.
I thought
you're disappointed?
he just slacked for a couple of games. Nothing major.
All right. So
I'm
VC
going
with
to try to motivate him.
VC gets this is the best way for him to get on the power play is to join the 4-on-3 power play in the doghouse.
He could bring the 4-on-3 out.
So maybe he can help them out. All right, Little Ed. So last week you had Alexis Lafreniere left in the doghouse, and you put also the 4-on-3 power play unit in the doghouse. So where are we at? Where are we at? Please.
I guess we got to leave the power play in. I'll take Laffy out because he was able to seamlessly replace Krieder on those power plays, like we talked about before. I mean, obviously, there's still more to be seen from him, but he earned his way out of the doghouse for me. Get a nice warm bed inside. I'm going to give it to Sammy Blais. Mainly, well, not mainly, but because this is episode 89, and I just wanted to get a rise out of Cousin Ed. But no, because of his collision with Gauthier. Gautier's been playing really well. He's been on a roll, kind of, even if he's not scoring, getting on the score sheet. He's been doing a lot for the team. So I hope this injury doesn't set him back a little bit. So I think I'm not really blaming it on Sammy Blais because collisions happen, but if I had to give somebody a doghouse or something like that, that's what I'm going to do.
It's really funny. That collision, we didn't even talk about it, was horrible.
Horrible.
I didn't even see it.
It was in the Dallas game.
And that should have made the
I know.
broadcast banter too, because what did they say after that? Those are two big men.
Yeah. Sammy Blais went off the ice holding his mouth like his hand was just filled with blood. He probably lost a few teeth. So
Yeah. I was reading online after that. They were like, people were saying, "Oh, Blais did that on purpose to keep his spot in the lineup."
So Blais will be seeing might be seeing my dentist who brought me to that game.
All right, so Laffy is out for Little Ed. Sammy Blais joins the 4-on-3 power play unit. That's gonna be annoying. It's gonna be like 10 episodes in a row with that unit not being able to get out. But anyway, so
I'll find a reason.
last week I had Laffy in, and I'm leaving him in. I mean, I just need to see more. I just need to see more from Laffy. I mean, I'm disappointed. I'm being patient, but I'm also being honest and critical of his play, and he's got more in him than this. It is on the coach. It is on the organization, but it's a little bit also on the player. I mean, he's got to find it himself and within himself in his own head and get that confidence that made him a consensus number 1 overall pick. It wasn't a reach. It wasn't a mistake. He is a number 1 overall pick, and he's got to start believing it again. How about you, Mikey?
Yeah, no, I got to agree. Laffy's staying in the doghouse for me. I will throw him a treat or two, so he's not starving, but he's staying in there. I need to see a little bit more.
Getting a little out of control with the doghouse puns that we're throwing out here. I love it.
I just want to tease it a little bit. We might have a sponsor for the doghouse coming up next week. Shout out to Megan, Tennessee Meg down in Tennessee, Suitor Sweet Treats.
Well, that's not a tease. You just said everything. A tease would have been not shouting around.
Well, I got to
tease would have said we might have a sponsor. Period.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we didn't do the ad yet. There might be a special product she's going to release in time for the doghouse.
All right, I'm liking this.
Come on.
I still didn't eat. Just so you know, I still did not eat the cookies that have logos, the skates and the sticks and the puck and all that. I ate those. No offense, I wanted to taste them. They were unbelievable. Those cookies were unreal. So
they are very good.
But I just can't get myself to eat the logo ones. You know, I'm just like, what do I do with this?
I had the hockey stick because I ended up breaking it by accident and they broke in half. So I was like, all right, fine.
If there's a way to preserve the cookies, she needs to tell me so I can do it, because I don't want to eat them. And if I don't preserve them, my wife's going to throw them in the garbage. So you got to tell me so I can do it quickly, so I can say, look, they're preserved and they're displayed.
Just tell her they're preserved and put them in the Ranger room.
They're gonna melt.
She doesn't listen to the.
I can't imagine that she goes in that Ranger room too often.
No, she doesn't, because it's a mess, as you can guys see. So she doesn't really like coming in here.
Anyway, I want to shout out to Meg. The wrapping job and the packing job when you open that box, I'm
unreal.
Like,
yeah, unreal.
That's some effort. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, she put a lot of effort in. We really do appreciate it.
And I did sneak the goalie cookie in with Kathy, and we had that as a little third period snack instead of my M&Ms.
Coach, what kind of M&Ms you go to?
Peanut.
Peanut?
Yeah, peanut.
That's the worst M&M of all. That's like the least good M&M. Peanut butter is the money M&M.
No, the caramel ones are the best. Peanut or the caramel?
I like the pretzel ones.
Pretzel ones are good too. Yeah, I like the pretzel. The peanut butter is the money M&M though. I can eat.
All right. Oh, I didn't know M&M was sponsoring the doghouse now.
Yeah, M&Ms. Anyway, all right, no free ads. So
shout out to Meg. Great job, Meg.
Yeah, thanks, Meg.
Next week.
Our boy Mikey P is still out on vacation. I think he comes back next week, right, Mike?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah, so he'll be back next week with the 150. For those of you that were wanting to see Mikey's update. Boston's still in first place. Okay, so there you go. There's the Rangers at 150 for the day. Cousin Ed took it over. All right, let's.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm not convinced in Boston. I'm not sold. I'm not fully sold on.
All right,
I'm not. I'm just not. I watched their game stuff. They're getting unreal goaltending. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think Linus Ullmark is going to have a .935 save percentage all year. I just don't think it's going to happen. We'll see. I mean, we'll see where they end up. All right, Mikey. Hit us with some trivia.
All right. So shout out to Poppy O'Neill. I got a hold of his trivia calendar.
I memorized all the questions before I gave it to Mike.
All right. Let's do it.
What New York Ranger rookie scored a hat trick in his NHL debut against Buffalo on October 9th, 2010?
I have no idea.
Ooh.
I was going to – that's my pick is Stepan.
Coach said, I have no idea. You ran out of time.
I wasn't sure when Stepan was in. I remember he had the hat trick. We were going to a game with Silly's father.
But you got to have it written down before the time ends on the Jeopardy.
This guy Stepan had a hat trick.
Wow, you remember that? It's funny.
Yeah.
And it was Silly, my dentist.
Yeah.
Mike, we got to figure out how to put a little timer up on here. There's got to be a way.
Look.
Oh, yeah. Do a timer.
There it is.
I had it written down.
That's a 0 for Coach.
Ooh.
I'm not going to lie.
You didn't have that written down before we revealed Stepan. Did you have that written down?
Yes.
I don't believe that.
All right.
Because you would have just held it up.
Give him the point.
Oh, jeez. He's already got a
All right,
point
good
for
question,
free.
Pop.
Unreal. Unreal. And that's BS. Anyway.
Let
all right.
Tennessee
So,
Meg decide.
no, I gave him the freaking point because I know he knows. Well, I know he knows that answer, but from now on, moving forward, you got until the end of that either timer that Mike creates for the next episode or
What
the
is
end of
the
Jeopardy.
timer?
We're
The
gonna
Jeopardy music.
figure out how to put a timer up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you'll have a timer to answer the question. Oh yeah. there you
Now you figured it out.
go.
Hey, it's our first episode. Mikey Produce, he's doing a great job so far.
20 seconds from when you finish the question. We'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, good episode. I'll be away this weekend, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to watch the games. I'm going to try and catch them at late at night. I'll be out of the country, but we got the tomorrow night home against Boston. Should be a good test, and then I think on Sunday, right? So maybe I only missed the Boston game. Sunday night against Florida in MSG, and then at Toronto on the 25th. So the Rangers getting a little bit of rest. We've got a pretty hectic schedule with back-to-backs. We got a couple of days off between games here. So Wednesday, and then the All-Star break is right around the corner, right? When is that?
I'm not sure. When exactly is the date? I tried to look it up.
Oh, I got to get tickets to that because it's in Florida.
It's usually
this year, so.
February recess, isn't it? Like the middle.
It's
of February?
the game is February 4th. So the All-Star game is in a week, pretty much after this weekend. I think 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
So that's right around the corner as well. And
Yeah, 2 weeks.
yeah, the Rangers will get some rest. Then we got the trade deadline and the playoff push. So we got a lot of fun topics to talk about. We're gonna have a little special segment for the All-Star game episode. I'm not gonna. That's a tease, right? So I'm not gonna reveal what the segment is. I'm just teasing that we got a special idea for that coming up,
Got it.
and yeah, look forward to that. And shout out to all the fans, NYR, KZB, Karen, thank you. You're fan of the week. Shout out to Meg. Shout out to Oscar. Shout out to all the other fans as well. Shout out to Little Ed and Mikey for all the hard work they put in creating this platform here. I love this. I'm looking forward to manipulating it further in the future and doing some fun stuff.
Yeah, it's
Big
going to be
things
great.
come.
But
Good
take
job,
us to the
fellas.
next level. Shout out to all the fans for making it happen, making it possible. Give us a reason to keep doing this. Follow our page right there, Rangers_ed.pod on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and check us out on YouTube. Thanks a lot, fellas.
And I'm not going to go on Instagram specifically because I don't want any Bushnevich chatter.
Yeah, Karen. I'm going to send Karen to Coach Ed's house.
He just doesn't
Maybe.
want to talk about Buchy.
Oh, real quick before we sign off, she had a quick story for me. Apparently, she had a chance to go to the Rangers practice or something in the 90s, and she was there with her son, and they were playing bubble hockey in the training facility, and she scored a goal on her son in bubble hockey, and she turned around and threw her hands up and punched Brian Leach in the jaw. So I don't know how true that story is. I'm going to take her word for it, but she claims that they just locked eyes. She apologized, and he just shook it off and just walked away.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's tough.
So she's just as competitive as Cousin Ed, so we might have to get her in some kind of a match against Cuz.
Oh God, all right. We'll see. It's
Trivia
been a while
contest.
yeah, we could do trivia. But all right, boys, it's been fun. Until next week. Love you guys.
Love
Love
you
you
guys.
guys.
Have a good
Love
night,
you
guys.
Have a
guys.
good week. See you next week, guys.